Here's an interview from one of our past shows on Rock and Metal Revival. If you're interested in hearing full shows, go to our Facebook page and check out our list of affiliates for times and places where you can hear Rock and Metal Revival. There is Drive Time from the new Rik-Emmett release called Diamonds. And since the last time Rick was on our show, he's released a new album, an autobiography called Lay It on the Line, a backstage pass to rock star adventure, conflict, and triumph. And today, it is always a pleasure and an honor to welcome Rik-Emmett back to Rock and Metal Revival. How you doing, Rick?
Doing great. I feel bad, when you do intros and you have these giant long subtitles for
I know.
right? The subtitle for the memoir and the subtitle for Diamonds, and it's like, oh my God. It'll take a half hour before we can get to having a conversation.
Well, you got to get the information to the people, but I understand that. Last time we had you on the show, Rick, we were talking about the documentary Rock and Roll Machine, which I thought was excellent and very needed for us Triumph fans out there. I've been waiting a long time to hear from the band. But I thought you answered a lot of those unanswered questions with your book. Was that something you were trying to do when you decided to do your memoir?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, the documentary, I was happy with it, and I thought it was great, but I realized it's Triumph's story, and Triumph really is something that it's kind of Gil and Mike's thing now, And so I went, well, it's not really my story. And the other thing about a memoir, of course, is you can start from, even before you were born, about your family, and then, I was in Triumph for 13 years, but, after I left, I made more albums than I made when I was in it, so... And then all the years of teaching college and all that stuff. So there was so much stuff that I thought, I gotta get these out somehow. I gotta spread this word. So, and the Diamonds package was supposed to come out the same time the memoir was, but the record company guy, Greg Campbell, and his pal Vic Branco, it took them a while to sort of figure out how they were getting their package together and getting all their stuff made. And the excuses they came up with, it was amazing. At one point I go, well, what are you waiting for now? He goes, well, I'm waiting for the felt pads. I go, what are the felt pads? He goes, to put on the like for people on their turntables. And I go, how hard is it? He goes, well, I got a deal in there. I got it made in China. I go, yeah. And he goes, but then they were on the slow boat from China, and it was going through the Suez Canal, and then all that stuff started happening in the Middle East, and they had to reroute the boat, and the boat had to go down around the Cape of Good Hope, and I'm going, oh my God, it's literally the excuse is the slow boat from China.
That's funny. But it was well worth the wait, I have to say that.
Yeah.
It really was.
Well, thank you. There's a lot of stuff in there, eh?
Yeah. I was going to say, your book's full of great advice and a lot of life lessons for musicians like myself and and everybody else. I mean, how long of a process was it to put this whole thing together?
The memoir itself was a long time I have a members forum on my website, and so one of the things I did was I said to my webmistress, Adrienne Duncan, Adrienne, can you put all my answers to all the questions all in one file and send it to me? And I'll start with that. And it was over 5,000 pages, single-spaced.
Wow.
I go, okay, well, that's going to be a lot of editing. So that was the beginning of that one. And, I worked on that pretty much documentary all the way through until it finally came out last October. And there were a lot of drafts, and there was a lot of things. Now, as far as... the idea of putting it together with the music of the Duke Street stuff. I think I got those masters back maybe 2022. Wow. Somewhere around close to the end of that year. And I thought these guys would be able to get it out sooner, but it is a lot of coordinating because they decided they wanted to have all these extras. That it had to have. Colored vinyl, and it had to have these extra photographs, and it had to have demos that I'd never released before, and the coordination of a package of so much stuff, it keeps bumping the deadline, the deadline.
I hear that. Rick, I've been really into your solo career since your first solo project back in 1990.
When you go to work on a solo project, do you have songs that you just write songs and you have a collection of them and then you put together an album, or do you write for that specific project?
I'm always writing. I'm always coming up with new stuff. So, I mean, that's where I start. I mean, sometimes a new idea gets sparked from seeds of things that have pre-existed, but generally speaking, I'm looking to break fresh ground, and I'll get into my notebooks and get into the whatever I'm using to record ideas. You know, in the old days, I used to have a little, cassette recorder, and now I just use the voice memos on my phone and capture ideas and start developing that way. I mean, eventually I get to a point where I'm making little charts and writing out the lyric sheet once again, and going through drafts, and sometimes it'll take 5 or 6 drafts, and then I'm pretty solid. Sometimes it takes 20 drafts, but that's generally the way I work.
Okay. Now, we heard the song Drive Time to go into the interview, and is that you singing? Because that's a way different voice than I've ever heard from you, if that is.
Yeah, no, that's me.
Really?
Yep.
Very gruffy.
Yeah, part of the whole thing of going on my own outside of Triumph was to try and establish the fact that I could sing different kinds of styles. I could have different kinds of songs than I might have done when I was in Triumph, write different kinds of lyrics, play different styles of guitar. I wasn't necessarily having to service the idea of the image of Triumph anymore, or what Triumph thought my image should be. So, Drive Time, I was kind of having fun. It was a song about, radio obviously has Drive Time, and so that was something that was always, you wanted to get airplay during drive time because, there's a lot of people that are listening.
Oh, yeah.
So you're hoping that radio will play you. So then, and then my brother was in the car business. So there was the whole thing about cars, and one of the jokes that always used to be made about guys in rock bands was, they write songs about cars and chicks and partying all night long, and I was definitely not that kind of a songwriter, right? Everybody thought, Rik-Emmett, the fight the good fight, magic power kind of guy. So Drive Time was like, I can write a song about cars.
Yeah.
Watch.
Nice. Now, over the years, you've written a poetry book, autobiography, and from what we've heard, you're got another book coming out soon. Now, you've played some of the biggest stages in the world, too. What's given you the most personal satisfaction over your career?
Oh, man, of my career, let me just make sure that I can't answer your question 100% because I satisfaction in life often comes from, for me, family, and then I've always been able to get tremendous satisfaction just from the world of art, like beautiful music, movies, those things make me feel happy and satisfied that I'm alive. Career, obviously you want career satisfaction and you do seek it. I would say that, the writing of my memoir last year, it kind of led me to this understanding of the fact that it was creativity that made me feel the most satisfied about myself. Like, as long as I was working on something new, it didn't matter what it was. It could be a book, it could be a song, it could be a classical guitar piece, it could be a rockin' song, it could be going out and playing gigs. Like, although I don't do that anymore, but I found that, just spending an afternoon sitting and writing, whether it's for a book or a poetry book or, I get as much satisfaction from the creative process, no matter what it is, as I did, when I was young and learning how to play guitar, so that stuff it's all wrapped up in one thing, and the one thing is creativity.
Now, how did you pick the songs that you were going to use for Diamonds, and like you got some unreleased demos that are going to be that are included. How many of those do you got stashed away that you had to go through to pick them out? Because I imagine there's quite a bit.
Yeah, you would imagine incorrectly.
No,
my good
really?
man. Yeah, no. Like generally speaking, I work things up, and I get them to a certain point, and then I realize, okay, this is what I want to try to turn into a record, and then I start chasing them. So the demos usually they're not anything that I would want the public to hear. In the case of the two that are included on Diamonds, is because Greg Campbell from Rock Paper Merch is going, you got to have something. I need something that has never been released before. I go, well, I can dig around and find some demos, and so. The Kiss It All Goodbye was a song that I wrote during the ipso facto period, and almost every demo that I did, they turned into master recordings for that one. That song, Kiss It All Goodbye, when I played it for my manager and the record company, they went, "Oh, it's too obvious, it's too poppy, it's kind of too hooky. Let's let that one go and move on to something else." So. But I was able to resurrect that because I was able to find, when my wife and I moved, I threw a lot of stuff out, so even old tapes and old things like that, I'm going, oh, these are junk, I don't need these. So, but it was one that I was able to resurrect. And the song The Treadmill, that was from the Absolutely album. I had done some demos. I did a development deal for Epic Records, and I'd done 6 tunes, and that was one of them that I'd written. And then I was co-writing with a guy named Graham Shaw, and Graham sort of said, that needs a refrain. You should throw a line in there and it all goes on. It all goes on. And I went, oh, that's a good idea. So him and I, we recut it, and that demo, and then we didn't use it on the album. In the end, that song, we didn't, turn it into a master because I already had lots of progressive, large-scale, epic kinds of tunes that I wanted for Absolutely. So I went, I'm good. I don't need that one. So then Greg reached out to Graham and said, hey, you sign off on us using this? And Graham went, yeah, okay, sure. So that's why it's on there.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, I read your book, Lay It on the Line. Great book. Got so much good advice and stuff in there. But I was reading through the Triumph section at the end. You listed some highlight shows and stuff, and I was wondering about the. I know you said you don't really mix with the other bands and hang out with the other bands and all that stuff because you're working, but because you consider it work and stuff. But you played the Heavy Metal Holocaust with Motorhead was there and Ozzy was there with Randy Rhoads, and I was wondering because. I mean, you and Randy you guys had a lot in common. Did you have a chance to even to talk to him or meet him or anything or catch their set?
No, and I regret that I did not because I really did respect him. And I did watch their show. And I have to say, that day at that Stoke-on-Trent in England, that Heavy Metal Holocaust, I could take or leave Ozzy. He doesn't really do much for me as a singer and as a vocalist. But that band, Randy with Rudy Sarzo and Tommy Aldridge, that was one of the best rock bands I ever saw, ever.
Nice.
And just that day, they were so tight and they were just so in tune with each other as a band. And I thought, man, what a great band. And Randy was obviously, just this incredible guitar player. I'd never seen that kind of the tight discipline. He was kind of like a guy that could play at a level of an Eddie Van Halen, but he was much more focused. Eddie was a lot more of a kind of a rock star, putting on a show kind of a guy, and Randy was, he had a little bit more classical in him, I think, than Eddie had in his playing, and I just. I really dug it, and I wished I had, had the kind of sort of the temerity or the nerve to go and say, hey, excuse me, my name's Rick, I play in this band, blah, blah, blah. Wow, I'm a big fan. I wish I had, but and obviously I regret the fact that he passed too soon. I think he would have gone on to have an incredibly stellar kind of a music career. I think he had that kind of a gift.
Yeah. From someone who grew up in the 80s, we were the original MTV generation. Do you think those videos and stuff kind of meant more to the song, helped promote those songs, and if you didn't get the airplay, it wasn't going to go anywhere, kind of thing was going on?
Well, certainly, yes. MTV sort of became maybe even more important than radio in terms of, getting all the record companies were now vying to try and get rotation on MTV,
Yeah.
And I hated it. I was not keen on it at all. I liked when music was, something where it allowed a listener the theater of the mind. It allowed imagination. It allowed everybody to generate their own imagery out of whatever it was that they were hearing in the song,
Mm-hmm.
And then along comes MTV, and it's like, oh, now they're going to have these very specific images. Now, it wasn't so bad when it was like live performance, because I get that. That's like a concert,
Yeah.
so traditionally I get that. And to me, that didn't necessarily rob anybody of what they might imagine a song is about.
Mm-hmm.
But once you start doing stories and images, and actresses are doing things, and I don't know, Duran Duran is crawling through the jungle after fashion models, and it just changed the nature of the beast, and I kind of went, well, I mean, I get that there's an art that, like, Peter Gabriel probably loved the fact that fruit was flying around his head, like, he probably, as an artist, guys like him and David Bowie, they probably, just absolutely embraced the idea of making movies about their songs.
Mm-hmm.
And they had those kinds of songs. But, I was never a big fan,
Yeah.
I never liked whatever.
Yeah.
We did the hair band phase and all of that stuff. And, there was all that bullshit of, videos where you had artistic directors that are going, okay, no, can we make your hair look bigger? We've got to try and make your hair look a little bit taller and bigger.
Yeah, but you can't. That Magic Power video with the flying cake. Come on, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, well, we tried to suppress that the best we could. Once we saw it, we went, oh, this was a huge mistake.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well. So tell me about this custom Telecaster you got with the Gibson scale length, 24 3/4 inch scale length, and it's got the MJS pickups. It's a cool sounding guitar. I saw you.
It's like I get obsessed. Now MJS, the guy that runs it, Mike Smith, he pickups in almost all of my guitars now, and he came up with this new thing. It was a Filtertronic kind of a not as warm and thick and soupy as a PAF kind of Gibson style, and not as bright and punchy as the double coil ones that he'd put in my Godin Supreme and stuff. And I said, well, let's put this in a Tele, but let's make the Tele be a kind of a hybrid between a Gibson Les Paul with scale length and bridge height, because that's what I really like when the strings are high off the face of the guitar, not like Strats and Teles where they're close down.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we sort of designed this. We had a guy in Oakville, Ontario named Garen DeCassian, Lucin Guitars, Lucin, and so he built it over, and it took over a year, but and went back for some tweaks and stuff. But now it's kind of really my number one guitar, and I've just written 10 new pieces called, and I've got an album called 10 Telecaster Tales, and I've written a book about the creative process and the development of that guitar and what the Telecaster's history is and blah, blah, blah. So that'll come out hopefully by the end of the year. It's exciting, I still have as much joy from new guitars and the development of a guitar, the designing of a guitar, like I just love them. I love them in all their shapes and sizes, and I've actually got a couple of Epiphones on order right now that I'm waiting to get. That are sort of based on the John Lennon Casino kind of style guitar, and so I'm kind of going, oh, can't wait till those arrive.
Nice. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm on Reverb all the time looking at guitars. What's my next one gonna be? Now I know you said you weren't gonna tour anymore, but with the new release of this album and stuff, is there gonna be an itch to get in front of a crowd and play some of this?
Well, I mean, the fact that now I've sort of become a published author and poet and stuff, I get invited occasionally to be interviewed and do readings or sit down and get interviewed by somebody. And, will you bring a guitar and play a few little things? And I go, yeah, little things, sure. I don't want to have to play full songs or anything, but I'll be interviewed, and I'll sometimes the best way to answer something is to be able to play a little bit of something on a guitar. So I still do that, and I will from time to time. I'm doing one in April in Brampton at the Rose Theater, and I went in last summer and I did one out in Penticton, BC, a song workshop, and from time to time I'll sit in with a band or something, but as far as putting together a full set of stuff and going and playing a gig, that's never going to happen. I'm just as happy sitting at home and writing and plunking and plunking around on my own guitars.
Okay, totally get that. Now, from the new album, the songs "Saved by Love" or "When a Heart Breaks," which could have benefited from adding cowbell more? Come on, ballads need cowbell.
Yeah, I what can I tell you? If I was in a certain mood, I think every song could use more cowbell.
Yeah. Well, you snuck some in on Rainbow Man. There's some cowbell in there.
Yeah. No, there's probably a little place in every song where a little bit of cowbell might work. But
Nice. Now, okay. Well, tell everybody where they can get a hold of this new album. I know the vinyl's coming out and everything, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, there's deluxe packages of diamonds. You can get them at rockpapermerch.com on the Rick Emmett page there. And Deco has put it out in the States, and so I think if you went to the Deco site, DEKO, they've also got it. And you don't have to buy the deluxe package. You can get them as cheap as maybe $50. You get a CD and the vinyl at the same time, the colored vinyl.
Oh, nice.
But the deluxe package has, oh my God, felt mat for your turntable and pictures and posters and guitar picks and handwritten lyrics, and there's a lot of extras with that one. So, awesome. That's the story of that.
Awesome. Well, we always let the artist pick a song coming out of the interview. Got a track from the new album, or you want to go back to your catalog to grab something?
No, I think we should pick something from Diamonds.
Okay.
Let me see. Which would I like? I think you should play. Do you think most of your listeners are sort of more prog rock kind of people, or heavy rock, or
a little heavier?
Maybe more. Do they like ballads with cowbell? What is it that they like?
They're a little heavy. Yeah, they like the ballads with the cowbells, but other than that, yeah, if it didn't got cowbell, it's not a good ballad. That's the way
if they want to know where Rick Emmett's head was at in 1989, 1990, I think you should play "Stand and Deliver."
Awesome. Sounds good. You can do that.
Good.
Well, it's been an honor to have you on the show again, and thank you so much for your time. And anytime you got something else to promote, we're always here for you.
All right. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.